Welcome back to the Harpreet Singh Show. Today I have an entrepreneur and a professional public speaker here to tell us about the power of language and belief and its impact on our lives. Please welcome Bal Sidhu. Hi Bal, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So when we're talking about the power of belief and the power of language, what does that exactly mean?
Well, I'm sure you've come across people that are constantly talking about the negative things going on in life and how they're always focused on the problems and nothing ever seems to go right. That in itself goes to show you like how powerful language is, because for a lot of those people, I'm sure you've come across it as well, the more they talk about their problems, the more that they talk about things not going right, usually it just manifests into more problems and more negative things going on in their life. So language is so powerful, because not only does it help determine your beliefs, but most of the time, whatever you speak about, whatever you say, that usually manifests itself into reality.
Right, so it's basically what you think is what you attract, right?
Exactly.
The more negativity you're putting out there, you're going to start to believe it. And how has the power of language and belief affected your life?
Well, for me personally, one thing I learned a few years back was there's this part of our brain called the reticular activating system, or the RAS, and that's the part of your brain that basically searches and finds whatever you're looking for. So for example, when you bought your car, let's say you got a blue Honda Civic. Before that, you probably didn't see any Hondas on the road, or you didn't really focus on it. But after you got a specific car, you probably saw them everywhere. You started thinking, whoa, everybody has this car. And it's not that they just started popping up, they were always there, but now because you've placed importance on it, you start seeing exactly what's important to you and you start finding those things. So for me personally, I always used to be problem oriented. I always used to think about things that are going wrong and never really focused on solutions, never really focused on how I can work out of things. So for me personally, it wasn't until I learned that I needed to shift the things that I'm saying to myself. I'm beating myself up over situations. I have standards, and so if you're a perfectionist and you don't necessarily meet those standards, you start beating yourself up. And I used to do that a lot, whether it was with grades, with sports, in relationships. All I'd ever focus on was problems. And it wasn't until I started thinking more about solutions that my mind was like, okay, you want me to actually find a way out of this, as opposed to just thinking about problems, because the more you think about problems, the more it's just going to search and find problems for you.
Exactly. So it's basically, what you're thinking, you're going to attract that. And what you're saying is that you really have to believe in it, and you have to shift it to solving it rather than, thinking about what's going wrong.
Yeah.
Now, what about for somebody who, they have a problem, and they're trying not to think about it? What do they really have to do in order to actually bring that into their life? If they're trying to attract something good, something positive in their life. So when you had a problem and you knew that it's better to probably just think of a solution, how did you shift from being so negative to being positive? Because that's not easy to do.
No, and I definitely have my down days as well. But what I've learned to do is I don't tolerate that. I don't allow myself to sit in it, because the longer you sit in that negativity, the longer you sit in your own misery, I guess, the more it cements itself in your mind. And
Exactly.
the more you basically keep attracting. So for me, when I start feeling down, or I have down days, or I wake up not feeling the best, I have my own triggers. I have ways that make me basically shift my mind and feel better again. So for me personally, I understand that motion creates emotion. So I ultimately in the mornings would either go for a run or work out or do something to get myself moving, because then that helps me get out of my little negative misery state and back into a place where I'm like, okay, I'm being productive, I'm positive, and I start moving forward through that. But if you just sit there with, say something happens in your life and everybody, has problems, everybody has things that they have to deal with.
Right.
But if you allow yourself to sit in it, the more you're just going to keep putting on yourself, because if you start becoming problem focused, then you're going to start creating problems that never even existed in the first place.
Exactly. And now tell me about a time where you had a very, serious problem in your life, and what did you exactly do in order to solve that and, make something more positive out of it?
Well, this one time when I was in university, I basically had, I went through a time where I left school and I dropped out of school halfway through my university career. And at that time, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. And you know, I could have dropped out and been completely miserable. I could have been like, look, I have no direction in life. I don't have a job. I don't really have any sort of support because I never really told my parents that I had left school. And so for the first few weeks, I was just sitting there completely down and out and depressed and anxious and just didn't really know what to do. And I realized that me thinking that way isn't serving me at all. I'm not gonna change my life by thinking the way I've been thinking for the past few weeks. So it was a bit of a process, and it always is. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, you know, just tell yourself you're happy and you're going to be happy forever. It's one of those things where it takes time, consistency, and practice and repetition, like anything else in life, if you want to get good at it.
It's all about the positive mindset, right? You know, I think it's very important that we have a positive mindset, because that's really what's doing it all for us, right?
Yeah.
And what about for somebody who does have more of a negative mindset? Because it's not really easy to go from negative thoughts to positive thoughts. Definitely not right away. So what would you suggest to anyone who is trying to shift their focus and shift their mindset?
The most powerful emotion in the world is gratitude. Being grateful is the most incredible thing that I've learned, and the most incredible thing I've seen impact other people's lives. And gratitude in itself, especially for us living in a first world country, compared to people in other parts of the world, you can sit there and be grateful for so much. And me, every day, as a part of my morning routine, is I usually tell myself 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it could be anything: your family, the air you breathe, the place you live, warm air, great country, great service, whatever it might be. Be grateful. And once you start shifting your mindset to more of a grateful state of mind, you'll automatically start feeling better, because you'll start to realize that things aren't as bad as you think they are.
Exactly. And is it only about your mindset and your belief, or is there anything else that somebody can do? Is it about being visual? Should we write things out? What can somebody
anything
do?
and everything. You experiment. Everybody's different, so you have to experiment and see what works best for you. For me personally, I do write things down, whether it be my goals, whether it be how I'm feeling. I journal a lot. Okay. Visualization is huge. Basically, how you want your day to look. A lot of people wake up and their first thought is, what do I have to do? I have to get this done, I have to get that done. They just wake up feeling super stressed out, instead of waking up with a mindset and asking themselves questions. So I ask myself questions in the morning of being like, okay, this is where I want my focus to go today. So who do I need to see? What do I need to do? What am I grateful for? And how I mentioned the RAS before, the more you start asking yourself those questions, you get your mind set straight from the minute you get up. So then throughout your day, your mind's not in control of you, you're in control of it, and you're in control of your day, because now you're out there in control of what you want to happen. So you're searching for the things that you want to get done, you're searching for solutions, you're searching for the right resources and people. And typically, if you do that long enough, you create habits. And we're all creatures of habit, so you're going to be a slave to your habits one way or the other. So the more you can work on creating positive habits for yourself, the better off your quality of life is going to be moving forward.
So it's just about the little things when it just comes to your language, the power of your belief. All those little things count. And if you just shift your focus to the positive things in life, then it can really impact your life in a positive way, and a lot of things can happen for you. And looking at you, you're an entrepreneur now, you're a professional public speaker, and you've come a really long way. You're inspiring thousands of people. Thank you so much for sharing your advice today, Bal.
Thank you for having me.